Hi, welcome to the Art Gallery of Windsor's Sundays in the Studios. My name is Sarah Richardson. I'm a textile artist, and today I'll be showing you the basics of crochet and how to make a cool wearable art crochet bead necklace. So, if you have your tools ready, let's begin. Behind every crochet piece of art, there is the right tools, which in this case, for crochet art, as you can imagine, is crochet hooks. Now, as you'll notice, there are a lot of different types of crochet hooks and a lot of different sizes. The sizing is important as it directly correlates with the size of the yarn. You may be thinking, how do you figure out what size of crochet hook to use? It's actually fairly easy. On the yarn itself, on the label, there's a suggested sizing chart. If we look at the back here on the label, you'll notice this little symbol that looks kind of like a crochet hook. It says 5.5 millimeters on the top. That's saying that it's suggesting the 5.5 millimeter hook. Or underneath, you'll see it says USI 9. In the US, they use a different sizing chart. They use letters instead of millimeters. They both mean the same thing. They both essentially mean to use the same size hook. So what you'll do is look on the hooks itself and find the right hook size. If we look at the hook, you'll see here it says at the bottom 5.5 millimeters. Normally on the hook it will be labeled somewhere, usually around the base of the hook, or of course on the label when you're buying it. Matching up the suggested hook size along with the hook itself is generally important, because if you use a too small hook or too big hook, it can interfere with how the yarn lays, but it is more of a suggestion. I tend to use the 5.0 hook, or for a little bit thinner yarn, I'll use the 4.0 hook, because that just feels right for me. It's all down to personal preference, so whatever you feel is working best for you, you can always explore. But to begin with, we'll try to keep it similar to the actual suggested size. I'm going to be using this yarn today, which is a little bit thinner than the yarn that I showed you previously. So I'll be using the 4.0 hook. This size yarn, if you find something similar, we'll generally recommend between a 4 or 5.0. So if you do see something around the size, and this is the most common size I would say, then you'd be using somewhere between a 4.0 or a 5.0. Like I said, whatever feels the best for you and ends up looking the best for you. Now that we have both the yarn and the hook, we can begin the actual crochet project. So the first thing we're going to be doing is called casting on, which is essentially starting the project. Casting on is not hard. A lot of people think that it might be hard, but it's really simple. It's essentially just making a loop, and that's all crochet really is making a bunch of loops and stringing them together. So the first thing that we're going to do here is making a little loop here like this, and I always hold on to where the two sides of the yarn overlap. Then we're going to take our hook, pull it through, and pull the yarn through the loop, and then pull. And that's how you start. This is the first loop, and we'll build the chain from here. Now, if you don't have a hook, you can actually also do it with your fingers. So we'll do this again. Curl around our fingers, hold on, take your finger, and push the yarn through the loop, and then pull. It's the same thing. And so if you find that easier, you can start that way. But otherwise, using a hook or your fingers, now that we have our loop, both work, we can start the chain. So hold on to the loop, hold on to your crochet hook, which you want to hold kind of like this. Push the hook through the loop, and hold on to the long side of the yarn, hook it onto the hook, and then pull it through. Now if this bit gets too long, you can hold on to the short side and the long side of the yarn, just like this, and pull on the long side, and it will make the loop smaller. Now let's do this again. So you hold on to the loop, you have your hook through the loop, grab onto the yarn, the long side of the yarn, and pull it through the loop. And that's basically it. So this is how you make a chain. For this project, we want to make a chain that is 5 chains long. So let's keep going. So that's 3, 4. Actually, I'll show you again from the beginning. So you loop it around, pull the yarn through to make your starting loop. Now we'll start the chain from here. So hook in the loop, then pull the yarn through. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's it. That's our chain, which is 5 long, and now we're going to start in the round. Now we have our chain, which is 5 stitches long. So we'll begin with the actual crochet part, which we're going to be using single crochets, which is essentially the stitch that is being used. There's lots of different types of stitches, but for this one we'll be using just the basic single crochet, and that's the easiest one, honestly. So let's hold our chain in here with our hands like this. You're going to put the hook through the loop on the end, hold the yarn taut with our other finger, hold on to the bottom, and we're going to go down to the beginning. Now, if you look at the chain, you can see these stitches here. So this chain, it kind of looks like a V with the top, the bottom, and the bottom and the top here. We're going to put the hook through the top of the V, just like that. And now we're going to take our yarn and yarn over, which means to take the yarn and put it over the hook, and then we're going to pull it through. Pull it through the loop. And if you ever kind of lose it like that, you can just put your hook back into the loop there. And then we're going to yarn over again and pull it through both of these loops. So you can see we have 2 loops now on our hook. And so we will pull the yarn through both the first one and then the second one, and that's how we'll make our first crochet. So we've got the first stitch down here, so let's continue the rest of the row. So if you look here, you can see these V shapes, which is of course the stitches from our chain. So let's continue. You have to put it in the top one, or I suppose the right hand one. So we will stick our crochet hook in, which of course you can see there's the 1 loop on here now. Stick a crochet in the right hand of the V, yarn over. Now we have 2, if you look, we have 2 on here. So we'll pull it through the first one. And now there's the 2 loops on here, and we will yarn over again and pull it through both of the loops. And there you have it. It's a single crochet, super easy. And I can tell, you know, that it all looks very similar at the beginning here of where to put it, but just keep looking for the V, and then of that V, you want to put it in the right hand side. So yarn over once, pull it through, you have the 2 loops on there, and then yarn over again and pull it through both. So we'll just continue that on here until we've gone all the way around. We have our first row, and if you remember, the first row was 5 stitches long, or 5 chains long. If you mess up, you can always pull on the long side of the yarn and pull it out. But we will be doing this 5 times until we have a completed row. So now we have 1 full row down, of single crochets. So you can see here we've gone all the way around and we have our first row of single crochets. So we'll continue on to the second row and go around a few, I would say 2 or 3 times until we have, you know, the appropriate width. Now this is going to look a little bit different when we do the single crochets because there's going to be these 2 loops that we're going to put it through. So instead of the V that we put it in just the one side, the right hand side of the V, these kind of look like coffee beans. That's what I've always thought they kind of look like. And so we will be sticking our hook through both of the sides of the coffee bean, or it kind of looks like a fatter V. So we'll stick it through both, yarn over, pull it through once, then yarn over again and pull it through both. Okay, so we'll just continue that for, like I said, I'm going to go for 3 rounds all the way around. So continue doing this for 3 rounds. So as you can see, I've off screen gone ahead and done a few more rounds. So we are at our final thickness of how thick I want this bead to be. You can always aesthetically choose that yourself, but we're going to finish this off with a slip stitch, which is essentially to keep this yarn and this thread here from unraveling, because otherwise this would just pull through. So we will take our hook, which already has our final loop on there, but we're going to put it through the next stitch, and we're going to just yarn over once here, not beforehand, but yarn over once. We have these 2, and we're not going to yarn over again. Instead, we're going to put this loop and pull it through the other one, and then finally, to keep it in place, we're going to yarn over once and pull it through that final loop. And that's how you keep a slip stitch, and it'll lay flat, and it just keeps everything in place. So now that we have that there, pull this out a little bit. We're going to take our scissors and give ourselves quite a bit of length and snip that and pull it through. And it essentially makes a knot at the end. So now we'll just go ahead and finish this off. And that's it. So now we have our bead, and it's essentially finished, but we've got these 2 pieces of yarn hanging off of it. So, I mean, I guess you could keep it. It does look kind of cool dangling down like that, but I'll show you how to finish off the ends. So it's essentially hiding the yarn so that you can't see it and so that it doesn't unravel. To do this, you're going to need a darning needle here, which a darning needle is essentially a needle, or it's also called a yarn needle. You can find them for $1 or $2 at your local craft store. But it's essentially, the eye is a lot wider so that it can fit the yarn through. So we're going to push that through here, like so. And now the objective is going to be to have this yarn blend in to our stitches. So we're going to take the darning needle and just kind of push it through. You want to have it go in more than one direction. So right now I'm going kind of down, and then I'm going to turn around and have it go up in just a second here. But we're going to have it go through a few times and in a few different directions, and that will keep it from unraveling and popping out later, and it secures the end, which is why we would have had these ends be so long so that we can do this easier. Now at the end, I'm going to push it through and have it pop out the bottom, and really the only reason for this is that then the last little bit where we cut it is going to be on the bottom. So we're going to cut it a little bit, or on the inside rather. We're going to cut it a little bit close, and there you have it. So that's one piece of yarn down. So let's do the other one real quick. So essentially just pushing it through these loops, through the stitches, and you can hardly see it at all. So keep going. See in a few different directions. Oops, if it ever comes off, you can, of course, and that seems to happen to me a lot, but just push it through the eye again and start again. So now we'll pop it through and have it come out through the hole in the top, and this will keep the yarn end on the inside of the bead. So we'll cut it kind of close here, and then there you have it. Here's our final bead. So it's got the 2 holes on either side. So now we can string it together, but I'm going to make a few more beads off screen here so that we have a bit more. But yeah, there we did it. So off screen, I made a few more beads with a few different colors. So all made about the same way. Some of them are a little bit bigger than the others, because it varied the size and the amount of stitches in them. But they're all essentially made with the same way. So I'm going to take my, I've got this ribbon here, which I really like the color. And so I'm just going to do what you do with most beads, which is thread them through. I'm just going to use a few different, like the beads in no particular order, color-wise, just to give it some variety. And in this case, the eye of the bead is a little bit small, so I'm going to take my crochet hook and, well, essentially crochet or hook it through with the crochet hook, which is super handy in this case. I thought in the future with this, if I was going to revisit it, I can always make more beads with different colors. I can add glass beads to the outside or have yarn dangling off of it. Textile art's very versatile and it's ever changing, so this is a great jumping off point for you guys, and well, I'm really excited to see all of your projects, to see how yours turned out in comparison. And I'm glad that we did it. So let's go check out the final product. Or, oops, I got one more bead. I'll put that on. So now that we have them all threaded on this piece of ribbon, let's go ahead and see what the final product looks like on. Alright, and here we have it, our finished project. And something really cool about textile art in general, and especially like wearable art, I find, is how versatile and how much it can change just based on how you wear it. And so, you know, with this, we can wear it a bunch of different ways. You know, we can have it like long and dangling like this. We can put it on like a choker. We can, you know, tie this together and have it be a really interesting little pendant like this first. It's really up to you and how you think that it will look cool, how you want to wear it. You can also change the ribbon, of course, the colors, and it's all going to change depending on how you've done it. And that's something really cool about art in this way, is how much it can change just based on how you've done it yourself. And that's how you yourself become the artist, just kind of following my guidelines here. So I'm going to put it on and tie a little bow, because I like the way that the bow is looking. Like this. And that's pretty cool. Yeah. So there you have it. I want to say thank you again for coming to the HEW Sundays in the Studio. My name is Sarah Richardson. Thank you for following along here, and you have a great rest of your day.